Henry 18003 was feloniously slain whilst on duty and died on the 1st of March 1982. His name resides with Lynette, Kevin, Josh and Glenn's right here next to me in the Chapel of Remembrance. And so our great thanks to you, Sue Ann, for these wonderful images, which I'm sure will take pride of place within each of the homes they will reside. This first anniversary brings us all back together in order to remember, to honour, support and reflect on the four of our police family who have become collectively linked in eternal tribute. Their four separate families have also become collectively linked through their journey of loss and grief. And over the past 12 months, I've watched these four families become closer and closer as they've encouraged one another through the journey that they've had to walk through. Today, all of us come together collectively linked as a policing family, not only here in this building, but right across the state and wherever those that are watching join with us. And we stand together stronger today as we continue to uphold the values and the purposes that Lynette, Kevin, Josh and Glenn gave their lives for. We made a promise. We promised that we would never forget them, and today is our way of continuing and maintaining that promise. I'd like to now invite our Chief Commissioner, Shane Patton, APM, to come and share his thoughts with us today. Chief Commissioner, Shane Patton.
Thanks, Jim, and good morning, everyone. I start firstly by paying my respects to the loved ones of the four members that we've lost, leading Senior Constable Lynette Taylor, Senior Constable Kevin King, Constable Josh Presney and Constable Glenn Humphries. It's an honour for us to be able to share this day with you all in what is obviously one of immeasurable sadness. To the friends and colleagues of Lynette, Kevin, Josh and Glenn joining us here at the Academy and online, welcome, and know that you are in the thoughts and the hearts of everybody here today. To our dignitaries from government, our partners, everyone who's here, Executive Command and other police officers, family and friends. I'm not going to name individuals here today because that's not what this is about. This is about us paying tribute to the four that we've lost. Former Chief Commissioner Graham Ashton, who was leading the organisation at the time this occurred, could not be here today. He's interstate, but he sent his thoughts and his love and asked me to express that. And finally, I also welcome Miss Sue Ann Roll, the artist who created these portraits. They're fantastic. So 12 months on, and the shock, the disbelief, the grief when we had all learned, when we all heard of the passing of Lynette, Kevin, Josh and Glenn, it still remains as strong as ever. Time, some people say, heals wounds. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that the grief is as strong as ever. And for police officers right throughout the nation and certainly within Victoria Police, the fact that these four were taken from us in what is essentially a function that police officers do every day, pulling over a motorist. That vulnerability that police officers feel was heightened by this. Everybody who's a police officer knows that could have been them. Mention of their names, the passing of significant milestones and occasions and justice processes into their deaths all serve to remind us of the loss. The COVID-19 restrictions have prevented us from commemorating and celebrating their lives as we would have liked. To say it has been a hard year for the families and friends, for the police family, is an absolute understatement. I don't know how I can describe it. I think the reason why we feel their loss so deeply is because every single Victorian has a connection to these four members. Every police officer and protective service officer, as I said, is acutely aware these are functions they perform every day. We recognise the inherent risks and also the undeniable rewards of serving the community. We accept that when we come to work. We see ourselves in the four that we've lost. From our early days at the start of our policing career, we're like Josh and Glenn. We're full of enthusiasm and ideas about where our career may take us. To our mid-career years, we're like Kevin. We've found our feet and we approach each job with confidence. To the pinnacle of our career, like Lynette, where we have the experience, the wisdom and the credibility to guide others. Certainly within our organisation, we talk about frontline policing a lot. And sometimes people will say, what does frontline policing mean? Well, certainly we now have a representation of what frontline policing means. Every public servant, every non-operational police person now have four faces that they can put to what the collective term of frontline means. What that means is that when they're undertaking that administrative support, that policy work, anything that goes towards policing, they can recognise the risks that are involved and understand what police officers sometimes have to do, and they place themselves on the line every day. It's a motivation that should seek all of our workforce to strive to do better, and we will continue to work with the community. And lastly, I think every Victorian has been reminded of the ordinariness and the extraordinariness of the men and women of Victoria Police. They now know from the snapshots of the private lives of our four members that they were ordinary people. They had personalities, passions, aspirations, concerns, and people they loved and cared for like every other member of the community. However, they were extraordinary people in that their courage and willingness to make a difference day in, day out, in some of the most challenging and some of the most rewarding situations that you can encounter. I'm proud to have had them and have them as part of the police family. And I can assure the families and friends here today that they will always be a part of the police family, whilst they are first and foremost your loved ones, your friends, your family. They have a place in the Victoria Police family forever. This day 12 months ago was probably one of the darkest days in Victoria Police history. The largest single loss of life in one event. Their legacy does live on though. We continue to remember them. We will always remember them. Their legacy lives in a range of different areas. It lives through the lives they lived, the memories they shared and left behind with family and friends, their dedication to duty, the countless differences that they made in other persons' lives that we'll never be able to measure through what they did as police officers, day in, day out. They chose to be one of the few, protecting the many, and unfortunately, they paid the ultimate sacrifice. We will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Commissioner. As a sign of commemoration, the families now are going to place a wreath beneath these wonderful artworks, and the wreaths will be distributed to each of the families by members of the work groups that each of the members came from. So I'm wondering if I can call upon Senior Sergeant Bradford Peters, Senior Sergeant Brad Johnson, Sergeant Carla Chalice and Inspector Dean Howard to come forward and to pass on the wreaths to the family members who are going to lay those. If the families would stand who are going to lay those wreaths. Thank you. Okay, would you come forward together? I think the dog will stay there, or you can bring him with you if you want to. She's coming too. And you can lay as you want to. Thank you. You okay? How about we tilt it up so that Thank you so much. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton will also lay a wreath on behalf of Victoria Police, which is going to be gifted to him by Sergeant Bradford Peters, I think, is going to do that. Thank you. I've just demoted him. He's Senior Sergeant Bradford Peters. Thank you. Thank you. A wonderful tribute. These photos, we felt when they first were offered to come here today, gave a great sense of personal connection, and I trust that you sensed that as well. And so thank you so much for that and these commemorative wreaths as well. The reading of the Police Ode is always a very important part of our time as we come together, and a minute's silence being observed. And so I'm going to ask Inspector Dean Howard, who's going to come and read the Police Ode, and he's going to be accompanied by folks that we call our family liaison officers, who themselves have done an incredible work over the last 12 months. Inspector Danielle Lehman, Inspector Sharon Congreve, and Senior Sergeant Brad Johnson are going to come, along with Dean, to read the Police Ode and stand for the minute silence. Thank you, Dean.
The Police Ode. As the sun surely sets, dawn will see it arise. For service above self demands its own prize. You have fought the good fight, life's race has been run, and peace, your reward for eternity begun. And we that are left shall never forget. Rest in peace, friend and colleague, for the sun has now set. We will remember, we will remember. Hasten the dawn. Can I have everyone please now join me who is able, both online and present, in standing for a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. Dismissed. Thank you. In putting together today's service, there would be no greater honour for us to have two people come and bring a reflection as to how policing and how they themselves, and perhaps their areas, have continued since that tragic day. And so I'm going to ask Assistant Commissioner Glenn Weir, APM, and Assistant Deputy Commissioner Libby Murphy, APM, to come forward and bring our reflection. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning. For those that don't know me, I'm Glenn Weir. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Eastern Region, Victoria Police, which is where the Eastern Freeway tragedy occurred. And Kevin and Josh were part of my region. It's extremely humbling for me to come here today and reflect on the events of 12 months ago. The shock and sense of loss that I felt on 22nd April 2020, attending the scene on the Eastern Freeway, still exists in me today. The anger at the senseless loss of 4 of our own colleagues, 4 precious members of your families, and our family, often surfaces in me. The collective grief that is shared by the police family and your families is one that is ever present. Despite these feelings, the support and compassion expressed by our communities from across the borders, interstate and overseas, has been reassuring, heartfelt, genuine, and filled with empathy and understanding. The true relationship between a police force and its community is often revealed in times of adversity. It's true in this case. I cannot thank the people of Victoria enough for the unwavering and touching support that we've all received. This has been evident in many of the messages, gifts and simple gestures that we've seen across our organisation in the last 12 months. I've never been prouder to be a Victorian. I've also never been prouder to be a senior leader of Victoria Police. The collective sense of can-do, care and support that's been shown amongst our ranks has been something that I'll never forget. I just want to say to my colleagues and to the families, rest assured we will endure, and the memories of Lynette, Glenn, Kevin and Josh will live on. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Road Policing Command. As we gather today across our realms, united in our grief, and we are united by so much more, unified in our police camaraderie, our fellowship, and our Blue support and Blue family, past and present. Delayed in our time to mourn, but always knowing that our time to grieve collectively, individually, in our own time and in our own way will always come. Supported by a wonderful community, acknowledged through outpourings of grief, unyielding advocates of what we know is good, right and honourable. A reflection of our unification, respect and standing in Victoria. Everything we and you do is valued. You are the fundamental and necessary core of good and right. Remember that. Lynette, Kevin, Joshua and Glenn are good and right. They and their legacy are the epitome of this. I know that each and every family member, through all their sorrow and strength, knows this to be unquestionable. Remember them, remember their legacy, and what they and each of you mean to our community and the value that the community holds in each of you. I'm so fundamentally proud of our members' families, their ability to articulate their sorrow, withstand media and navigate court processes, all whilst their hearts are breaking more than we will ever know. You're amazing people, individually and collectively. To all our members who arduously attended on that fateful night, I acknowledge your role, importance and value. Thank you so very much. And to the Paragon Task Force, the tasked with the unenviable task of actually investigating what happened to our members. I, and I'm sure our membership, are immensely, unwaveringly proud of the commitment of you so trustingly selected and valued to undertake the burdensome task of ensuring the appropriate, just and fair outcomes for our members, their families and the community. I'm eternally grateful for your professionalism, your investigative abilities, your commitment and care of our members and your competency in investigation, evidence preparation and presentation, along with the victim support that you provided to everyone. I really cannot find the words to express how incredible you all are. Suffice to say that an acknowledgement of your professionalism by the Defence Counsel is rare but reflective of your attributes, your skills and you as individuals. Thank you. Thank you to our family liaison officers, to our chaplains. What a burden to bear. Uniting yourself in personal and professional grief, an unenviable task that I'm sure is valued, treasured and means so much to the families and us who you so lovingly and professionally represent. Thank you. Lastly, to Lynn, Kevin, Josh and Glenn's families and loved ones and comrades at work, I'm in awe of your strength, your family values, your ability to so beautifully articulate your love and know how important each of our members was and is. We acknowledge that we will never fully understand the awful loss of love and the emptiness that you all feel. Be assured that we wrap you in our arms. You are ours, as too were they. May our members' souls rest in peace today, tomorrow and forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I encourage each person that's been affected, and that includes all of us, to ensure that we're looking after one another? Can I suggest to our Victoria Police family, regardless of rank, can you ensure that those that you're working amongst and those that you know, regardless of their rank, can you ensure that they're doing okay? Let's make sure that we're looking after one another through these times. We're going to conclude our service here in just a few moments. We invite those in attendance here to join us for some light refreshments in our main dining hall immediately after the ceremony concludes. I want to thank those that have been watching across the state via our live stream, and I know there are a number of workplaces that are holding their own events with various chaplains and other people assisting them. We wish you well as you continue your services in your local areas. I wonder if you would stand with me as you are able as I conclude our service with a prayer. Please stand. God of all people, together we come seeking comfort, assurance and counsel in our ongoing quest to understand our grief and our attempts to regain our purpose. We are grateful in the knowledge that Lynette, Kevin, Josh and Glenn reside now in your eternal care. We continue to ask for your favour to be extended to each of their loved ones, their friends and their colleagues. We pray for Victoria Police, our Chief Commissioner and his Executive Command. As they lead us through these times, grant them wisdom, clarity and courage. So as we leave this space, may your presence comfort and continue to light our way. May each day include tangible blessing that assists us to know that we are never alone. Amen. Thank you so much for your attendance here today. If you would like to make your way through to the dining hall so that we can continue on our fellowship together, and for those that are watching, good morning to you. Thank you so much.